Alright, now we're live.
Hooray!
Check, 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 check. Okay. Hello, world.
I'm so
Broadcasting,
tired.
broadcasting now in glorious 720p.
Oh, bumping it up a
So
little
now
bit.
you can see the horrible Skype quality in higher resolution.
Yup.
Nothing like HD pixels.
Yeah. No, I had started doing this because I'm streaming my stuff at 720p now, since my
Yeah.
internet connection can actually handle it.
Excellent.
I'm rich, bitch. Oh my god, so I was flipping through the channels the other night and I came across that Make-A-Wish Foundation episode with Dave Chappelle where he's playing NBA Street with that kid with cancer.
Oh yeah. God, that show.
Come on, pick up your sticks.
Speaking of Dave Chappelle, I saw the Wu-Tang Financial. Was that Chappelle show?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then someone posted this on Twitter. I just posted it in Twitch chat. Why can't I think of things?
Wu-Tang
Oh
Flan.
God, Wu-Tang Flan. It's the best.
Oh, man. Alright, we
Holy
ready
crap.
to kick this pig?
Yep, I think so.
Rich, bitch.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Going around the room, we got Knobs.
Sup?
And we got the Hannah.
Hey,
And for once, I think I'm the most energetic person on this show. Super weird.
I'm pretty okay.
It's Sunday. You know,
Yeah.
it's a quiet day.
The sun drained me the last 2 days, so I'm beat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well,
It's the
let's...
wonderful tan.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got a wicked farmer's tan going this year.
Well, let's get Oh, that's good stuff. You need to watch the live stream, everybody. Alright, let's get right into it with Knobs. What have you been playing?
Well, Monday night game night was kind of an interesting night. The group started playing Battlefield at 10, but meanwhile, Tom Gamer and myself were thoroughly sucked into the Dead Rising 3 DLC, and I'm not even gonna try and rattle that off the top of my head.
Yay!
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy you
But-
played this.
That was probably the best 2 hours of my gaming life in a long time.
Nice.
It is the best possible thing they could have done with Dead Rising, is make a crappy arcade game. And when you die, you literally start over from stage one again.
Oh, man.
Mm.
It is really good. But the whole thing, like trying to like run around, it's like, hey, I found an arcade cabinet. What do I do? I just hit it.
Nice.
So you whack it, and then it says you collected the arcade cabinet, and then you have each one of the costumes have a certain criteria you have to meet, like clear X number of stages with this costume this many times with that guy. Okay,
Okay.
like complete this mission once, or find this arcade cabinet for that, and so like our first run through, I think we unlocked maybe 6 or 7 of the alternate costumes. Like not really looking for anything, but man, that game does ridiculous in the best way.
Yeah.
So each character has their own like special attack. Usually it's kind of based on a normal special attack with one of the like the 8 or the YB attack with a certain weapon. Everyone has kind of their own little thing, like Frank West is like the fire thing where you go down and blows out a whole bunch of guys.
Nice.
The Nick has like the parasail, like swoop in and come down with the fire attack. Is it Kyle Green?
Chuck?
Chuck Green, that's it.
Yeah.
Chuck Green has this has the electric hammer with the like that looks like a battery on the end of a pole with like two little Well, you know which
Crazy.
weapon I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has like the swing around and drop it straight down. And it throws electricity everywhere. It's awesome. He's
Very
my
cool.
favorite. Like it just that move, you just spam B and it just levels everything. Navigating those areas and those time frames is difficult because there is a lot of zombies, and that game doesn't pull any punches about being difficult. Like it is hard. Like we had to be like there was just two of us, so we had to be on our A game to really pound our way through it. What I'm trying to think just the little gags it does, like when you're going to rescue, like there's a rescue mission where you have like X number of survivors, and they're the little 8-bit sprite guys that are just sitting there spinning. Like,
Oh, cool.
Spinning on.
Help me! Like
Oh, that's awesome.
it's so dumb. I'm trying to think. There was another part of it where we were laughing hysterically at. I should have played it again.
How much was the DLC?
It was like $10.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I'm pretty sure it was $10, but it was $10 well spent. Much better than Strider at $7.49.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't gone back because I'm kind of gun shy now.
Oh, I can see that.
I'm kind of gun shy. All the power ups in the world, like when you get you get like upgraded armor. You have ghosts and goblins. He's got the big gold helmet on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Does the Yoshishi show up?
What's the Yoshishi?
That white circle with the orange kind of pokies. The old stuff you'd see in like 1943, 1942.
Oh, no.
Oh, bummer.
No, the POW?
No.
Well, okay, well, you remember from 1942, like, the power-up was
Yeah.
that POW with the, like, it looks exactly like that.
Oh, nice.
That's all
Nice.
8-bit out. The airstrike is the 1942 plane.
Of course it
Uh,
is. Very cool.
I'm trying to think of the other stuff. Like, like, you pick up, like, everything's got, like, anything you pick up's got, like, a finite number of times. Like, you have, like, this quad, like, rocket launcher thing. It's just literally just blowing everything up in the whole stage, and it looks like the one from like Commando, you know, like the one that's over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Gatling gun, you just spray all your ammunition, throw it down, just keep attacking. But I think the time constraints is what makes the game challenging, because there's one area where you had to go and destroy 3 generators. Oh, pro tip: if there's a circle that says a T on it, do not pick it up. Because
Yeah.
you turn into a wobbly stick of tofu that does nothing.
Yeah, you turn into Tofu from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That's one of the few things I've seen, is just like this wiggly piece of tofu.
Yeah, with the little beret on it. Like,
Yeah.
it's dumb.
And the belt.
Yeah, and like the commando belt.
Yeah.
Like, and it says avoid being eaten the second you get it.
Yep.
But yeah, there's all sorts of little power-ups and stuff, and traveling, like the areas are segmented really well. A lot of like the racing and whatnot. Oh my gosh. So all right, there was that area, like did you play Dead Rising 3?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, there's an area in the beginning of Dead Rising 3 where you run into like this biker clan where you get the most ridiculous vehicle of all time ever. The motorcycle with the steamroller thing
I
on front
have
of
seen
it.
that, yeah.
Awesome.
It spouts fire too, so it's even better.
Why
Like,
not?
it might be the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, I want to build one. That's that cool. I don't know how you would turn it though.
Details.
Yeah, we'll figure out. Turning, stopping, yeah.
Yeah.
Just it shoots fire and goes in a straight line. Cool by me. Anyway, but it turns there's area where it's like a little boss arena, but it's kill all the bikers, and it goes from behind you to straight top down. You're controlling it like a dual stick, like shooter. It switches mechanics on you so many times.
Weird.
Oh, all right, I remember the area where we were just like, it's the best thing in the world. It literally turned into a side scroller at one
man.
point, as like the bridge is blowing up behind you. Like, it was total Streets of Rage madness.
Very
Jeez.
cool.
Yeah, and there's like drones and stuff in it. It's crazy. That game is crazy.
Man.
Oh, it's so much fun.
That sounds pretty
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So we like my face hurt for 2 hours because I was grinning so big.
Yeah.
It was exciting. Like, it was something that was completely unexpected. 'Cause I thought it was going to be fun. I didn't expect it to blow me out of the water.
Yeah.
Nice.
Might have been one of the funnest, probably the funnest thing I've played this year so far. Like,
Very
it is
cool.
an absolute riot.
It really did look cool when they showed it at E3. I was a little jealous, and I've heard it's probably not coming to the PC version.
Oh, really?
I would.
Yeah.
That would be
there's-
surprising.
It would be surprising, but that was like no one could confirm or deny one way or the other from everything I read.
I wonder if it's just a platform exclusive for a while.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
Probably because the thing is borderline genius. I mean, everyone had a blast, especially when giant mecha M. Bison comes out of the screen.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it's like any old school boss, you fight his belly
Yeah.
the whole time. And if you get close enough to him, he can't hit you, so it's even better.
Amazing.
Like, it's like the old school, like, hack.
Nice.
It's fantastic. I kind of want to play it again.
Yeah.
I need to unlock all the costumes. I have to see Nick as Felicia.
Yeah.
And whatever the green dude as what's the commando guy? I can't remember. He was in Marvel's Captain Commando.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that
Captain
guy.
Commando is short for Capcom. That's
Yeah.
how I remember it.
Then there was another one too. Like they all have great. Frank West as Hagar. It's just
Amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. It's the character models they picked to put him on. Oh, and Green's daughter. I can't remember Felicia. I think what I don't know. Allison. Alicia, whatever. It was an A word.
Yeah.
It was definitely an A word. Yeah, she has like this Chun-Li moveset that's just like really fast and just crazy overpowered.
Man.
She's been a lot of fun to play too, but I just unlocked I think it was the what's his name? Green. There's only 4 people. I should remember the names of these. But anyway, I got him as BB Hood now.
Oh, nice.
Which I totally was not expecting to see BB Hood at all.
Yeah.
That's even obscure for anyone who played Marvel vs. Capcom. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. Like, you don't remember any of it. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that person was in that game.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was-
Mike Hagar.
Yeah. Why not? Mayor Hagar.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good time. And pretty much the rest of the week has been filled with Battlefield. Like, just ridiculously. I think I scored my first 1,000-point headshot the other day.
Wow.
Ooh.
Like that was at I think it was like 950 plus with the headshot and all the bonuses and ending the guy's kill streak and whatnot.
It's
But,
just candy is coming out of the screen. Like,
Oh yeah, it's just like bring, like it might as well. It looks like a credit scroll when I had.
Yeah, they're
that
gonna
when I was
mail a big check to your house now.
like, wow. But yeah, like right now it was whatchamacallit. Like right now they have one of the premium events where it's a double XP weekend. So I've leveled up twice this morning playing 2 hours on the Hurt Locker. So
Awesome.
Jeez.
it's madness. That map is just it's anarchy. It's literally anarchy. Like there's no way. There's so much explosions going on. Like you can't even think straight. You're like, I don't know which direction this is coming. I don't know which way to run. And by the time you sit there and have that thought, you're already dead. You're like, all right, well, I'll spawn all the way back here.
Yeah.
Maybe try and corner something. Then some guys sneak around and flanking. Like, it's a maze of death. Like it's a lot of fun, but it is intense every time you play it. It's just bananas.
Yeah.
But played a couple more rounds of Nautica Crash.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
So you got to say that fast, Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
But it was a good time, and then I had like we were talking before the show, like we were laughing about that Dave Chappelle skit with the kid with cancer and that played NBA Street and him just talking trash the whole time.
Yep.
it just kills me. I just like every time you see, he's like, oh, you know what? I'll figure this out. I'll pick up your sticks, and he goes, like, oh, here goes. They're like,
Good times. Is that all you've played this week, though?
That's it.
All right, Hannah, what was on your plate this week?
A whole lot of work, mostly.
Fun.
So my gaming consisted entirely of buying games on the Steam sale when I thought it was worth it. Got some decent pickups. Haven't had a chance to play the majority of them. I played a bunch more Ollie Ollie on Vita. I actually went back through all of the levels I've beaten so far and upped my high score on each of them just to get back in the groove of things. So I'm taking a different approach to how I play this game now. I looked at the Trictionary a little more in detail, and I realized you can modify...
Sorry, wait. The Trictionary?
Yes, the Trick Dictionary that's in...
All right, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't having a stroke and
Yeah.
heard Trictionary by accident.
It is, in fact, a word that exists in that game.
That's a thing. All right, move on.
That is a thing. So I was looking at that more in detail, and I realized that you can actually modify your grinds with the L and R buttons to get more points.
Oh.
But those are also the rotate buttons. So the way it works now, the way I play this game is, so you use the left stick to sort of initiate all your jumps and tricks and stuff, and you have your...
Sorry,
I don't know what's happening.
Every once in a while I look over at chat and the other Jay-Z said, Trictionary is a word that needs to be punched.
Yeah, I don't have chat up in front of me, so I missed that one.
Oh, boy. This is why we have chat on the show, everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so I realized how interesting the control scheme for this game is compared to most other skating games. In most other skating games, you're claw-handing this controller, portable or whatever, and you're trying to hold down all these buttons while you're doing something. Like when you're executing a trick or something. In this game, it's the exact opposite. When the trick is happening, you've literally let go of all the controls.
Yeah.
For the most part, unless you're spinning or modifying a grind, and that's really interesting because so before you actually launch a trick, you hold down L or R to start a rotation, and before you land the grind, you have to let go and then tap L or R as you're initiating the grind, and it just the way it feels once you get into a groove with it, it's just this series of really rhythmic clicks and clacks when you're especially playing on the Vita, because those buttons seem, I don't know if it's just me, but if I'm playing it later at night, those buttons get louder.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's really wild.
As the ambient noise comes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know how to describe it any better than that. It's just such an interesting control scheme for that game, and I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't usually happen for me with games. I usually plateau and go, that's good enough.
Well, it's kind of nice to see a game that requires a little bit of skill to really enjoy it. In the way that you really felt like you could get better and better at the early Tony Hawk games by just playing more and memorizing the tricks and getting your timing down. I kind of like that there are still games out there like that.
Absolutely. And just the series of crazy tricks and grinds and flips and rotations you can pull off in this game. There's levels where you can get away with doing just a single combo for the whole level, and if you land it perfectly at the end, you just shower in points.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I played a bunch of that. I'm trying to beat the second to last set of levels on the amateur difficulty, and then once I beat the next set, I'm going to go all the way back and go through the pro difficulty, because there's basically 2 sets of stages per level.
Oh, okay.
So it's this game's got a tail on it. It swung back around on me recently, and I'm really happy I'm picking it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not familiar with that expression. It's
What?
got a tail on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the game's got a long tail on it. Like you play it once or twice up front, and then suddenly you come back and you're like, hey, all right, there's still some life left in this game.
What does that constitute as a tail?
You've never heard that before?
It's just a phrase. I don't know.
I'm just confused. Like,
It's
I understand. It's like when you have a fart that lingers, it's got a chain on it. It's because you're dragging it around with you. But I've never heard a game that's a tail on it.
This is the last episode of this show ever.
So close to 350.
So close.
So close. We
Oh,
almost
God.
made it. Why?
I'm sorry. I just had to find the roots of that alliteration.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know where this game has a tail on it. It's usually used for sales of a game. I co-opted it for this. So the only other game I played really this week was I picked up Space-Based DF9 from the Steam sale.
Yes.
And it is so good. Even for an unfinished game, this game is stupid good.
I haven't played it since Alpha 2, and I think it's on like 9 now.
It's on Alpha like 5B.
Yeah, so I picked it up at the very beginning where it was 1A. And I think the
Yeah.
last one I played was like 2C. And
Okay.
they've released a ton of versions since then.
Yeah. So I don't know how much has changed since you played it, but it's you build a base in space,
Yep.
hence the name.
It's Dwarf Fortress.
Space.
Yeah.
It's Dwarf Fortress in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with a much better interface than Dwarf Fortress
Yeah,
has.
an interface that O'Reilly doesn't have to sell a book for.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first base I built, I just sort of did like one big room, and I couldn't quite figure out how to get people in there.
Mhm.
And then I realized, okay, so I have to build an airlock. So I built like a small room attached to it with airlock, and then I couldn't find the airlock doors because I figured that would be listed under the airlock category in construction.
Unfortunately, not.
It's totally not.
It's under the
because-
doors category.
Actually, it's under the all rooms category. So there's
Oh,
all
so
rooms,
they moved it.
and then there's a bunch
Weird.
of stuff in there, and it's like regular doors, airlock doors, and by the time I found it, everyone was dead.
Welcome to Space Base.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the first game I had, I couldn't get them to build anything after a little while because I think a couple of my guys depression spiraled,
Yeah.
which seems to be a problem with the game.
That's sort of been a problem with the game since the beginning, where it's like, hey, I can't do anything anymore because everybody's super bummed.
I think it was because I waited too long to like start building because I was like taking my sweet time trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I should have just been like, all right, I'm gonna build a room, and I'm gonna build another room, and one's the airlock, and one's life support. Done.
And now everyone's dead.
Yeah, and now everyone's dead. Second base,
Everyone's dead from sadness.
Yep.
yeah. I haven't had that issue since then. All my guys have been relatively happy. So the second game, I got into it and I started building, and I was about to like add on a second room for refinery so I could gather more matter, and the game crashed. And
nice.
so like it picked back up, and I was like, I'll just start a new one. It got a great location because it has. So when you pick a location in this game, when it starts up, when you pick where you're going to put your base in this galaxy, you have to pick a spot on like this galactic map, and I can't remember. I think it's like 50 by 50 sectors. So you've got like all these little squares, and you just mouse over it, and it lists up in the corner like all these 4 different attributes.
Oh, they have
And
squares now?
I don't think it has squares, but it's like it's an invisible grid.
Okay.
And it's
Write that down. It has squares now.
So you pick an area, and it's like proximity to warp gate, so you get more people on your base. Threat level, stellar density, or something like that. Like how many like asteroids and things you can mine.
Space
are nearby.
rocks.
Yeah. And there's one other factor, but like you want certain things to be high and certain things to be low. And trying to find the right spot can be really troublesome. The third game, I had like this great spot. It was like high density, close proximity to a warp gate, like low threat level. It was great. And then I got attacked.
Whoops.
And it was going really well.
Lies.
Yeah, I got the airlock up, got the life support up, got the refinery up. I had a garden. I was building a bed. I was building like a barracks, like people could sleep and stuff. And then suddenly these guys come around and they're like, "Hey, I think it was like the shape of your base is offensive to our gods, so we're gonna kill you."
I always liked that one.
I'm a big fan of that
Yeah.
one. So they boarded me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just assign a couple more people to security, and they just steamrolled me.
Yep. That game is
And-
tough.
Yeah. Well, and the worst part was I had been going for a while, and I didn't have any defenses. That was the game where I learned I had to build food replicators because I didn't know I had to do that.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Well, I
Yeah.
haven't played that game in a while.
Yeah. So now you have to build food replicators.
Alpha
So
2,
that
no Alpha 2 build, no food replicators.
Yeah, I mean, man, I should read these patch notes.
It would great. Everyone's sad, starving in your space base.
Yeah, I mean, and then when the space worms come to attack, they just say, "Well, it's better than what I got."
Yeah. Well, and the thing was, like, I didn't even realize you needed these things. It was slowly, like, very harshly teaching me what I needed. And the best part is the food replicators they're not listed as, like, oh, food replicator. They're listed as food replicators with air
Oh.
quotes. Food is in quotes. Yeah. It's pretty great. And then you can actually build a garden and assign like a botanist to it, and just like the detailed stuff you can do in this game. And they seem to be refining the interface as much as they can. There's a couple tweaks I'd like them to make, but there's no like back button. You have to like cancel completely out and then go back into whatever menu you were in if you picked the wrong thing. So
yeah,
that's
some of the menu stuff was always a little weird where if it has a back button, it's labeled confusingly, and like half of the menus just don't.
Yeah, I do like that all the menus.
So it's
have
not labeled back with air quotes.
No.
Click this; it might crash the game. Who
Yeah,
knows?
just you click back and it just Alt F4s.
Click at your own risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that third base went up in flames after I got attacked. And I was just like, I could probably survive this attack. I could probably get rid of these guys, but here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have no one left.
Yeah, I could probably survive this, except everything is on fire now.
Yeah. Well, and then I got hit by random space debris.
Oh, that's a fun new twist.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
What fresh hell is this?
Yeah, and then that was when they taught me that I should have fire extinguishers everywhere too.
Yes.
Yeah. So those.
That's coming like Halon system. Is it like a priority?
Yeah.
It just says, hey, there's some space debris heading your way. You might want to duck and cover. I don't think you can make these guys duck and cover. So I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to wait for that to happen and see what it does. Oh, it lights things on fire. Okay, that makes
Superb.
sense. All right, how do I put out the fire? Oh, my guys stomp out the fire. That's what they try to do. I wonder if there's a fire extinguisher object.
They fight
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
they do.
that's one of my favorite things about that. If you don't have fire extinguishers, they try and fight it and stomp it out, which
Yeah.
catches them on fire, but they're on fire and suffocating because the fire is sucking the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah. One of the other interesting things I've discovered is I discovered today when I booted it back up. The game I have going now is going pretty well. In every room
Now
I've
you
built.
jinxed it.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
done.
Well, I know I
You're done.
did. I know I did because I know I'm going to have to build a new base eventually anyway.
Yep.
But I started. I always start with 2 rooms, so you've got the airlock and whatever the next room is going to be. So I built airlock and then life support. Actually, no, I built 3 rooms at once this time. I did like a 6x6 and then like a 3x6 and then another 6x6, all sort of chained together in like an L shape. And so the small one's the airlock, and then you have a refinery, and then you have life support. And then I expanded life support as I went, and I built on a research facility, so I'm going research this time, and investigating new stuff to make things better.
I bet everybody that has a research job just has a red shirt.
They don't actually; they're all white lab coats. It's all scientists.
Oh, that's okay.
Which missed opportunity though.
Yeah.
So
I think that might be a copyright infringement now.
You may probably.
Yeah. So that one's going for me. I can't remember where I was going with that whole sentence. Oh well.
Space Base is awesome.
Space Base is fantastic, and I really hope this next base works out a little bit better for me. But in each room that I've built so far, every single room has a food replicator,
Mm.
an alarm, a fire extinguisher, and a house plant. Because
Nice.
I don't know what it was in one of my games. Like the life support room, the oxygen was great. It was getting where it needed. In like some of the outlying rooms, it was like at 55%. I don't know if that was like a glitch or something,
Yeah.
but it was really strange. And then I discovered the house plant item, and I was like, oh, that'll probably oxygenate the room. There's no descriptions for any of this, by the way. I'm just sort of guessing.
Yeah. But that's kind of the fun thing about Space Base is your base is going really well until it doesn't, and then the
Yeah.
next base does even better until it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's
Wonder if
sort
I
of what
put
I
a
like
plant-
about it.
I wonder if I put a plant in all my rooms if I'll feel better.
Probably.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. I didn't have a whole lot of time this week, unfortunately. I'll be getting back to Brutal Legend this week because, man, this week I got.
God, that's what I forgot to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna like text you every day. Did you play Brutal Legend?
Well, I have not played Brutal Legend, but I did finish Watch Dogs.
Ooh.
And I've completed enough of the side quest stuff that I am well over 90% completion on the game because I have a problem. Watch Dogs has a lot of problems.
Yes, it does.
I'm gonna try to not spoil anything. I had problems with the ending, but it's obviously still way too new to come out and say anything near what happens.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, one of Watch Dogs' largest problems is its pacing. So Act 1 has like 6 missions. Act 2 has 15. Act 3 has 8. The next one has 5. And the last act has 1.
That's not
I
an
hate
act.
that
That's
pacing.
a denouement.
Yeah, a super cool mission, though. So
Okay.
it was pretty lengthy, so it kind of made sense why it was its own act, because otherwise it would have just been like, that's the end of the game. Okay. I really, really liked what they did with Act 2, even though it was that long, because I felt like they really spent a ton of time ramping up to what they were building towards.
Okay.
But since the act was so long, I felt like I kind of lost the thread by the end of it, and they're like,
Oh, I lost the thread even though I played straight through it. There was no real thread to follow from what I remember.
well, the nice part is that Acts 3 and 4 kind of bring all of that stuff you were doing together.
Okay.
But it's kind of like when you finish Act 2, you're like, oh, I did all that for... Wait, I didn't actually do anything, did I? Like, it's just this weird story thing where you're kind of like, well, I just finished a lot of stuff, and I'm not entirely sure that I accomplished anything.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun, so okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the acts were okay. Still have a ton of problems with the main character's voice acting. In the second half of the game, it gets really uneven. Either it's the Batman voice, or it is this strangely very clear voice that sounds like it's coming from someone else. So that was weird. I really want to talk about Acts 4 and 5 because I have very specific, really weird issues with it, but I kind of wasn't 100% happy with how the story wrapped up. I feel like it was a little, not really abrupt, but I felt like they didn't necessarily spend enough time on the things that should have gotten sewed together, so that some of the stuff that happened in the end was a little bit more impactful. And often they would put missions that were incredibly, incredibly frustrating during really important story beats or right before story beats. So when you finish that mission, it's just like, oh, thank God. I don't even care what this person has to say.
Yeah,
I'm
you just throw the
finally
controller
done with that
down.
mission. It's like one of them, I think it was right at the end of Act 4, I think, has one of those, like, sneak away from the cops. But it's sneak away from the cops over an entire area of the map. and then get off to this other area. And then the person you were with has the same lines each and every time. So I kept hearing it because I was getting so close to the end, and then one of the cops would find me. So I'd have to do the entire thing back over. And it's like, it very much smacks to me of Assassin's Creed 1. And the game, too many people have been spoiling the reason why. People should stop that. But there's very clearly going to be a Watch Dogs 2. At the very end, if you don't figure it out, you haven't been watching anything in the game.
Yeah.
So I feel like while Watch Dogs 1 is good, and I had a good time with it, I genuinely enjoyed it. I feel like Watch Dogs 2 is going to kind of be the game that, like Assassin's Creed 2, we can say, just look up the wiki, watch a Let's Play, or something where it combines all the cutscenes, and then just play Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah.
And that's kind of okay, because if Watch Dogs 2 is better than the first one, that's probably going to be a really great game.
Who's hoping?
After I beat the game, it dumps you right back in the world, which is nice. And they actually do a little bit of narrative stuff to explain why people in the world are treating you differently based on how the game ended. Which I thought was kind of nice, instead of sort of like, well, why is that person doing things? That doesn't make sense. They spent a little bit of time kind of explaining that. And once I finished it, I finally turned the online invasion stuff back on.
Yeah.
And I've been playing a lot of the online modes kind of as I've been going through the world and finishing up all the little side mission stuff.
Okay.
And I was really... So there's... for anybody that hasn't played Watch Dogs, there's 4 main modes. One is online race, which I'm saving for the last because I don't want to do that.
That stuff's dumb.
Yeah, everybody please stop doing that.
Yeah.
You have online hacking, which basically find a person, start hacking them, and stay away from them while you hack whatever they have. Online tailing, which I have a lot of fun with, which is basically you get dumped in a person's game, they have no idea you're there, and then you have to act as nonchalant as possible to hack the stuff that they have on them. And it goes a lot faster than the online hacking one, but it's kind of fun because you get to see people kind of bombing around in their own world. And then you just have to sort of be like, no, look at me, I'm just a pedestrian. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing at your jokes. Or just like trying to act like a car in traffic. And then if they are to find you, because a lot of times you'll be sneaking around and then they'll like look at you and you're just like, what? I'm a normal person. What's happening? And then you see them scan you and then they just start shooting holes into you.
Oh. I can just imagine like someone doing the statue from like an old Bugs Bunny cartoon, like this is us.
Like,
what?
Yeah. But the one I've actually surprisingly enjoyed a lot is the mode called Online Decryption. It's a 4v4, so it's 2 teams, and there is a file somewhere in the level. Yeah. One of the players has to pick it up, and then as you hold that file, you decrypt it. And then whatever team decrypts it fully wins. But if you're on the other team, you can get near to the person who's carrying the file and start stealing it. If your teammates are near you while you have the file, it decrypts it faster. The levels are really kind of small, so it's really hard to go into a corner and kind of hide. You can't get 2 islands away and kind of say, well, come and get me, I'm 3,000 meters away. I was actually pretty surprised at how fun that mode was and how kind of tense it was, because if you steal the file from the other team, it keeps its decryption level. So if you steal it at like 98% and you run away and do the other 2%, your team wins.
That's fantastic.
So it's this really great, like, I managed to win this one, there's this one match I played where I got thrown into a team where it was just me against 4 people,
Mm.
and they had decrypted it to like 90%,
Yeah.
and then they were messing around and like shooting each other, and there is friendly fire, and if you shoot the person who has the file, they drop it because you killed them. So I swiped in there, grabbed it real quick, and left, and decrypted it the final 10%, and then won the match. I was just like, ha 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 ha. So, a lot of that stuff has been really, really good, and I've actually been playing the majority of the non-story mission stuff on my Vita remote play. There's still a couple of hitches, and the controls are still really weird. But it's good enough for me to lay on the couch for a while the rest of the family is watching TV and just kind of be doing racing missions or do those cool driving missions where you drive through a bunch of points and evade the police and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple things that I really have a hard time doing, like those CTOS breaches, the ones where you hack one thing and then there are 4 other hacking things, or the drinking mini games, because you really need the full controller in your hand to be able to do whatever wizardry it wants you to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a pretty good game. I still feel like it's certainly not the best open world game I've played recently. I mean, that title clearly goes to Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah, without question.
But I think if you were to pick up this and you were to pick up Infamous, you would have 2 really great open world games for your PS4. I think without finishing Infamous, I think if you have to pick up one of the 2, I'd probably say Infamous. I think it's a tighter and less frustrating game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But I kind of like. I think the storyline in Watch Dogs is a little dumb, but I kind of like it in this weird. Like, I feel like the story didn't go far enough in the like everything's connected, you can hack everything sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what they did set the ground level of this universe really well. And I feel like when they continue the franchise, that it's in the same way that Assassin's Creed did, I think it's going to get more and more and more interesting because they don't have to go through and set up the vigilante. Why Aiden Pierce is this super hacker, even though he has the world's lamest name.
Yeah, he does.
And there's a lot of little stuff that bothered me in the game, but nothing big enough that I could say, this game is total crap. Don't even think about picking it up. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs 2. Hopefully they announce it in the next E3. I'd like to play more of that.
Nice.
Played a bit more and streamed a lot more of Final Fantasy V. Twitch.tv/Boston Hannon if you want to watch the entire adventure up to this point.
Sweet.
I am about a third of the way through the last world.
Awesome.
And I'm doing okay again. I had to spend probably about 2 hours off stream just kind of grinding and farming for money. This party is kind of hard because they're incredibly powerful, but only if they have money to throw at enemies. But then the money I throw at enemies doesn't go towards equipment.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I can kill most bosses in about 3 hits, but then I blew through like 15,000 gil. So
pay to win.
Yeah. So still enjoying that. I'm probably going to stream that later on today again. But this morning, actually, I decided to stream a new game that I picked up the other day, and streamed about an hour and change of it, Shovel Knight.
Oh, excellent.
Shovel Knight is so freaking good, guys. So
Really?
basically, this company, Yacht Club Games, this is another Kickstarter success.
I like that name.
Yeah,
that's pretty great.
They have a really fun logo. I they basically made an NES game that could almost work on the NES. It doesn't have like the flicker or anything, but it has almost the right number of colors and everything.
Okay.
It looks very very legitimate to that style. I mean, it's not like, oh, I've got a retro game and it's got like 256 colors. It's not. It looks very much like that. It doesn't have like 7 layers of parallax scrolling. It seems legitimate.
It uses the medium box of crayons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned that. I swear I just saw a post on Reddit that mentioned that. Oh, here it is. So if you're curious, here are all the NES rules Shovel Knight broke straight from their developers. This is a post that on Gama Sutra.
Oh,
that
I did
literally,
see that,
yeah.
Yeah, and it I think the thing that you can respect the most out of it is it tries to be faithful. Of course, it's going to be 16 by 9. Of course, they, instead of having 4 colors, they had 8, if I remember correctly. Like they did a little bit of parallax scrolling, which not a lot of NES games did.
Yeah.
But what I really like about this game, and what I can really respect about it, is it takes all of these games together. It takes like Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, Zelda 2, Mario 3, the DuckTales game on NES, and it kind of throws them in a blender and blends them all up, and then what comes out is Shovel Knight. And where I think is the really important distinction there is the game doesn't feel like, oh, they made Mega Man 3, or oh, they made DuckTales. But maybe one thing that game does reminds you about one thing in one of those games. Like Shovel Knight, when you jump as the character and hold the down button on the D-pad, it's basically the pogo from DuckTales. And it behaves the same way, except you don't bounce on the ground. So it's sort of like, oh, okay, but they didn't make DuckTales. Because you don't have any of the other skills, and the levels don't look the same. But the overworld is Mario 3. Even with enemies like wandering around the map, and then finishing stuff to unlock other parts on the map. So what I really respect is they didn't make Mega Man 11. They didn't make Super Mario Brothers 4. They didn't make these games. They made a game that feels like it would have been inspired by those games because they were the games that came out then. It feels like a game that it is kind of the best game on the NES because it would have been like, okay, yeah, cool. I played DuckTales. Now I know how to pogo. All right, I played all this stuff, and it feels really respectful of that stuff without being like, I made a retro game. Remember this part from Zelda 3? It kind of... And there's no real, like, winks and nods. There's a lot of shovel puns in this game, which is kind of fun. Boston, please mention that if your guy goes invisible when he gets hit, VSync is probably the issue, so turn it off. Thank you, Jay-Z in chat. VSync is really weird in that game.
I'd imagine.
But the thing that's really crazy about it is the controls are so tight in that game. It controls exactly the way that you want it. It reminds me a lot of Super Meat Boy, where you pick that game up and you're just like, oh, okay, this character is doing exactly what I need them to do and exactly what I'm telling them to do. And if I die or if I fall off a platform or if I miss something, the game has told me its rules, and the game controls well enough that that's my fault. It's not the game sort of suddenly having a problem.
I'm just not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not good enough yet, or I don't know the level yet, or in the case of the bosses are very traditional, like 8-bit, 16-bit arcade-style bosses, where they're these big sprites that animate really well, probably a little bit too well for the NES. But they have very, very clear patterns. If you don't pay attention to the pattern, you're just going to get eaten alive. And if you do, the boss battles aren't too terribly difficult, but they're challenging enough.
That's good.
I've played for, I think, an hour and 20 minutes, I think my stream was this morning. And I made it through sort of the first section of the world, and then this giant cloud moves away, and this other huge section with 3 bosses and another town and all this other stuff unveils. So it's kind of it seems like a much larger game than I was expecting. And the music is just outstanding. I mean, it's just, I don't know who did the music. I was going to look it up here in a minute. But I can't recommend Shovel Knight enough. It's $15. It's really well done. It supports a ton of controllers. I'm playing with the Xbox One controller, and it worked just right out of the box. It integrates with Steam really well. It's also on 3DS and Wii U, and apparently the Wii U version has native in-game Miiverse support, so people can leave Dark Souls styled messages in the game, so you can read that stuff. The 3DS version has a bunch of Street Pass stuff and a bunch of 3D stuff in it, so they really spent the extra time to go through and kind of make each platform really, really interesting. So if you want to see the game, I spent almost an hour and a half playing. Twitch.tv/Boston Hannon. Look at my archive videos, and it's just fun. I mean, it's a fun game. It's fun to play. It's tongue-in-cheek, and there's just a ton of great stuff to play in there. I really hope it comes to PS4 and Xbox One at some point. I really hope it comes to Vita at some point. Those are the perfect platforms for just this really tight platformer to come out on. So hopefully they can find a way to come out on that stuff. But until then, $15 on Steam. It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I've been playing. So let's take a break.
Sweet. Oh, all right. Stretch. Oh, good God.
I wonder if I come across like my awesome tan line from my sock.
Oh man.
Look at that.
Oh, hold on.
Oh man,
that's pretty ridiculous. I mean, mine's not too bad. I don't know. I'm not a bad angle for this, but like you can see sort of the difference here, like there to there. I haven't been outside as much as you, more than likely, but
you guys learned that I'm limber.
Yeah, I've been outside more this summer than I have in like the past 3 combined. It's really weird.
Yeah. 90 degrees. Like I think I got a tan line for my watch.
I didn't even check. I probably got one for my. Totally got one for my ring finger. Oh.
Get used to that one.
Yeah.
I suppose I would have it for my sunglasses. I always had sunglasses on the whole time, but
I've been worried about that because I'll go ride my bike for like an hour or hour and a half. And I'll have like a hat or like a bandana on to just catch sweat, basically. And I'm just worried about like my forehead being bright white and the rest of my face like tanning.
Oh yeah, my hat like at some points gets like those salt stains from sweating so much.
Yeah,
especially this last weekend. After Friday, after that outing, we sat and had ribs and a couple beers, and like I got home, it was like 3:30. Like, I'm gonna throw a movie on. I woke up, it was like 9 o'clock. I'm like, what happened?
Where am I?
So the soundtrack was done by Jake Kaufman, who made a soundtrack for a ton of Game Boy Advance games. And it's Shantae for Game Boy Color, which is incredibly famous.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can. There's 2 soundtracks for everyone watching. There's 2 soundtracks on Bandcamp for the game: the in-game track, and then a bunch of arranged tracks from famous video game musicians. Each one is Name Your Price.
Very nice.
Oops. Okay. I am ready to record whenever you guys are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Loading.
Oh God.
Enhance.
Buffering.
Enhance.
Just print the damn thing.
Enhance.
I gotta watch that. Me and my wife watched Dodgeball on Friday.
Oh, nice.
My wife and I. Whatever.
I never remember which is grammatically correct.
Me neither. But
Always
man,
put yourself last.
anyone who hasn't seen Dodgeball should totally watch that movie.
Yeah, that's a pretty good classic.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quotable movie. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Michelle.
Well, the best part, have you ever done the special feature stuff on the DVD? If anytime he snaps in that movie, if you hit the enter button on a DVD player, it'll play a random special feature.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's how you actually kick off the real director's commentary, because the director's commentary on the actual DVD is like basically a big long joke. I forget who, like two of them, I think it's Vince Vaughn and the director, like pretend to hate each other for 40 minutes, and then Ben Stiller shows up late, and they all just leave, and the rest of the film goes without commentary.
Man, I think Dodgeball was another one where the menus were really good. I mean, obviously not as good as the Zoolander ones.
Oh, yeah.
I should watch that movie again.
Zoolander's great as well. That's one that caught me late. Like, I only watched that within the last couple of years.
Yeah, Zoolander's just... It's one of those timeless movies.
Yeah.
I went to go see Zoolander at a midnight showing out in Oberlin. Oh, it was fantastic seeing that movie on a big screen. Oh, man. I remember hating that movie the first time I watched it.
What movie?
Zoolander, it just didn't click with me.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to me. Like, I saw a bunch of out of context clips, and they were mostly of Ben Stiller. So I was like, that looks dumb.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's very dumb.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's do this next segment here. Once Google has loaded, hopefully.
The other Jay-Z, I tried that. It didn't work out so well. Anyway.
Zing.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yahtzee. Anyway, you guys ready?
Ready.
Yes.
All right, ready in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. We got releases.
Hey.
This week for June 30th, 2014, Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition EX Alpha Plus
Yes.
for the PlayStation 4, Wii U, and XBO.
I just love that they named their game Super Turbo Championship Edition.
Yes.
And if you haven't played Guacamelee, pick it up.
It
Please.
is fantastic.
Come on.
Just do it. You have no excuse now. It's almost out on everything.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, check this out, Hannah. Child of Light comes for the PlayStation Vita.
Awesome. I'll probably actually play this now.
Yeah, maybe I'll actually finish this.
Yeah.
Never thought I didn't see that happen at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Divinity: Origins of Original Sin for PC.
I don't know what that game is, but everybody seems super pumped about it, so...
Yeah.
Something about dragons, I'm sure.
Yeah. And U.S. release for the week of June 30th, 2004.
2004.
Is Spider-Man 2 for the Xbox and PlayStation DOS.
That also came out for GameCube.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I remember that. I think that was a pretty good game, right?
That game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The reason I remember this so well is because I was working retail at the time, and this was... So, GameStop back then allowed you to rent brand new games.
Right.
Because, hey, we're going to gut a bunch of copies anyway. Yeah, why don't you guys take this one home early and try it out?
It's for recommendations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it actually ended up being great because that's one of my favorite games from that era.
Yeah.
It was
Really?
the first. Oh yeah, it was the first Spider-Man game that came out that was open world and you could swing around and stuff.
Yeah, and without really any weird restrictions.
Yeah.
Well,
That
I
was
remember.
fantastic.
I remember the tutorials by Bruce Campbell. Were
Yes.
always
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and those continued into like Ultimate Spider-Man as well.
Yeah.
Man, I have so many good memories of that game now.
Good times. All right, let's move on to news stories. I know I'm excited about The Sims 4, and I don't care that nobody else is. But I have been trying to stop myself from putting Sims 4 news stories in the show. But this one is just so freaking weird that I can't help but put it in here. The Sims 4 is not going to be launching with child mode. You get to play. You get to have a character that's a toddler.
Okay.
But it's also not launching with pools. And I'm not. It's not like billiards, like swimming pools. Which
That's weird.
Is that a major feature?
to
in
me, I
Citizen?
think as someone who really enjoys The Sims, I think that is because the first thing you do is put your Sims into a pool, take the ladder out, wait for them to all perish, and then
Yeah.
you go, okay, that still works. Starting a new family.
Maybe that's why they're out.
Yeah.
For the
They
Murderous Rampage.
So what's kind of sad is EA is saying like, yeah, no, we're not doing that, and their official statement is, quote, and while we recognize that some of you will be disappointed that pools and toddlers won't be available when the Sims 4 base game launches in September, you should know that we're building an incredibly strong foundation that is capable of fulfilling every one of your desires in the years to come, end quotes. ... with 100 expansion packs.
Yeah.
Because if we get the Sims 4 pool party, I'm going to be pretty upset. Someone save that clip for when this happens in 2016. Oh, the Sims. Pools are returning to the Sims. Have you and your Sims ever wanted to have a pool party? Well, now you can. $15.
Here's okay, so this story is strange. Here's what I find stranger about this story. The fact that they felt the need to announce that they're ditching pools and not allowing you to play as a toddler in the same news story.
Right.
That seems like they're hinting at something incredibly sadistic.
Expansion packs?
No, like toddlers in swimming pools.
Oh, if I
really,
remember correctly, in
truly
Sims 3,
sadistic.
your toddlers couldn't go in the pool.
Well, that's
truly, you are more metal than the both of us.
My goodness.
Jeez.
From my black Norwegian heart, throw them in the pool.
It's out of concern. I have a very young niece and nephew, and my in-laws have
Do you folks like coffee?
My in-laws have a pool. My niece is always around it. It's a concern. It's a thing you think
that's
about.
fair.
When
Is
they're
that a
around.
thing you do? Do you throw babies in pools?
No, I don't
I
throw
don't.
babies in pools,
I
but they
mean, I
tend
have
to
other-
run towards
I have other
things.
hobbies.
Yeah. Show makes me out to be a horrible
I see
person
Hannah saying by the pool,
occasionally.
can I hold your baby? Yoink!
We need to we need to move on from this one, I think. Next news story, the Dwarf Fortress mod, which is the name, I forget. The Dwarf Fortress mod that was out before that would give you an isometric tile-based view of Dwarf Fortress is now updated to make it not only look better and actually look more 3D, but now also gives you mouse support.
Nice.
So if you wanted to try Dwarf Fortress, either play Space-Based DF9 and support Double Fine, or maybe now you can play this. So maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I'll stream some of it, because maybe I have a problem. I want to get into Dwarf Fortress, because I want to have one of those stories that everybody has. I just...
Right.
Please. That's all I want. Next news story, we have the Games with Gold for July 2014 on Xbox 360. July 1st, Gotham City Imposters. And on July 16th, Battle Block Theater.
I've been waiting to pick that one up. I'm glad it's free.
Yeah, both of those are free. And then on Xbox One, Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition,
Nice.
which the other Jay-Z in chat said, I hope that this isn't a thing that Capcom started, Guacamelee had announced that name like 6 months ago. So South Park did it first, I guess.
Yes.
And I think that's actually the only one. Oh, no, Max the Curse of Brotherhood will stay around for Xbox One, which is a really good game. I bought that downloadable on my Xbox One, and I played that for about an hour or so and had a lot of fun. It's a good kids game. On PlayStation Plus for July for free games, PS4 brings Towerfall Ascension and Strider, which
Awesome.
sort of wish I hadn't spent the money on Strider because I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I paid $15 for it, so I'm not too sad.
I'll
Rabble.
rutabaga. I will. I'll happily download Towerfall Ascension though, because that seems like a ton of fun. For the PS3, Dead Space 3, if you want to play that for some reason, and Vessel, which not a game I know really anything about, so kind of curious about that one. On PS Vita, Doki Doki Universe, and Muramasa Rebirth, which I'm going to download because I need to play
Finally, I bought that.
I
So
bought
did
that
I.
too, and I have not played it.
Nice.
I bought that. What did that come out on originally? The Wii?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have the Wii version, which I never played, and the PS Vita version, which I never played.
I played a little bit of the Vita version. I got my money's worth out of it at the time.
Yeah. Next news story here. The Dota 2 international prize pool is now $10 million. So,
Wow.
for those that aren't paying attention to the International 4, which is really fun to watch, even if you don't know anything about Dota, because they make it into this, professionally broadcasted real thing. It's super cool. There is an item you buy for Dota 2. It's a program for Dota. It shows the teams, it shows all the players, it shows a whole bunch of stuff about Dota, and I think it's $15 or so. And it gets you a whole bunch of stuff in game, so it's not just, here, Valve, take my money.
Yeah.
A portion of that money goes towards the prize pool for the Dota 2 International.
Nice.
Enough people have purchased that to get the prize pool up to $10 million. The thing that blew me away, and the reason why we're talking about this, the prize pool for the U.S. Open is $9 million.
What?
This has beaten the prize pool for the U.S. Open. I mean,
Wow.
That's how huge Dota is. So if anybody was wondering, hey, how massive is Dota? Well, larger than the U.S. Open. And sadly, since I'm a golf fan, we'll probably get way more views than the U.S. Open.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donbag 315.
Yes, as in golf.
yes, U.S. Open isn't golf. Donbag 315 in chat says, "Oh, and Alpha Protocol is $4 on Xbox 360." If that's true, go get it.
Yes.
It's,
You're losing money by not buying it.
yes, it's cheaper than a hamburger. So
I don't know where you're getting your hamburgers.
Five Guys, because I'm a fat pig.
Well.
Oh man, I had 5 guys last night, and man, I am going to drop some hammers.
Yep. All right, moving on. YouTube's hammers. YouTube is going to start rolling out 48 and 60 frames per second support. So if you shoot in 1080p at 60 frames, now you can put that stuff on YouTube, which is going to be really great for video game trailers, because a lot of people don't realize YouTube up until this point has been capped at 30 frames.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I did not know that. And when I heard this, I was like, why doesn't it already do that? What is this?
You bring up a good question. Why doesn't that already happen? Weird. I don't, it must be all that Google money. Huh. Next news story here. This sounds like such a dumb, small update, but Xbox.com is soon going to support on Xbox One more profile information. That includes achievements, but more importantly, that includes your game clips,
Yeah.
which I think is super cool.
You know, I agree with that. That's super cool too, because I've been using my Smart Glass app on my phone to show off some of my game clips,
Oh, nice.
which it works with Smart Glass as well.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I think to me, especially with Sony's been doing something to the video recording on the PS4, and I can't regularly record videos anymore. Or I do something cool and then I go in the share thing and I can't. So I don't know what the magic is anymore. But I've always really liked that about the Xbox One, where you just say Xbox, record that. It records the last up to 15 minutes. It's saving cool stuff all the time. And Upload Studio is pretty okay in the Xbox One. I wish it was a little bit snappier, but now being able to hopefully, until you can actually get that stuff into YouTube, hopefully at this point you'll be able to send your clips to other people, or at least embed it somewhere. Because up until this point you haven't really been able to.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Facebook, but who wants to do that?
For sure.
Yeah, wants to dig up that. And, oh, wait, no, you weren't supposed to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the thing that gets me about this is, like you mentioned, the Smart Glass app already shows this kind of profile information. What are they doing on their website what did they have to update? Like,
I don't know. It's kind of surprising because during the 360, I felt like Xbox.com was kind of the place to beat. You had all your friend stuff. You could do all this stuff with codes, and all of your achievements were there, and it looked really clean. It looked really smart. And then when it comes out, Sony comes out with, when the PS4 comes out, Sony comes out with a website that is functional but still has me log in way too many times.
That's a holdover from the breach, though. That is something that they do because they have to.
It's just still, even like when I pull up the PlayStation app on my phone and I go to click trophies, it wants me to log in. I'm like, well, I don't know that password. What are you asking of me? It's just saved on my 2 devices.
Yeah.
And then when Microsoft comes out with the Xbox One, the site, like they cut the legs out from under it, and they're like, oh, you can maybe see your friends list if you want, I guess. And it's sort of like, no, I kind of want that baseline experience I had before, and then
more
add the other stuff. It just it seems really weird. It seems like it still seems to me like both console manufacturers kind of pushed both of their consoles out a little bit too early to maybe beat either one of them, but then the consoles we got are kind of okay. So
well, the thing that kills me about this, like, if you said the Smart Glass app already shows this stuff, like, that's not a hard, like, I don't understand, like, that's like a weak project to put in the interface on Xbox.com and have the API reach out to your profile in their database and pull, like, X amount of game clips and, like, paginate and, like, what...
This is why Almighty Tooth in chat says the Xbox website is written in BASIC.
Well, that would do it. There's a lot of go-tos and, like, oh god,
but everything
sick.
you want, everything you want to do on the website's right on the app. Like,
which I mean,
all that stuff, like your friends list, trophies, game clips, like all that stuff is right there.
But there should be parity on the desktop side. Like, there's no reason not to. If it's in the app, it should be on the website.
And I could get if they were going to say, like, hey, if you want all of this stuff, go download the Windows 8 app and run that, or run on your smartphone, run it on your tablet. We support Android and iOS and whatever, Windows 8. But there's just no messaging around it. The problem that Microsoft has had for about the last 2 years is no one knows why we should go do these things. Why should I download the Smart Glass app? Oh, because it's got everything I need.
Because messaging back, sending messages back, like on text, through your phone is so much easier than doing it one letter at a time on an Xbox interface.
But there's never, it's seemingly the Microsoft's current problem of, but why should I do that? And there's never any place where it's like, oh, because you can just text back to your friends list, and it's like, well, now I got to go get that.
Yeah, now that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I can set up a party on the app. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I would like to do those things.
Absolutely.
Well, same thing. Like today, Moonpier was broadcasting, and I got a notification on my phone. I pulled it up. I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Oh, so he was streaming on Xbox One through Twitch, and it said like, "Yo, he's doing his stuff."
Yeah, Moonpier's broadcasting.
That's pretty cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody should go get the Smart Glass app. I think we learned.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. It came out of the UK this week that Nintendo lost its lawsuit against Philips on Friday, where the courts found that Nintendo was infringing on 2 of Philips' technology patents with motion technology. This patent is kind of, let's say it's BS. It's a
Vague.
a little larger. It's pretty much saying that you can remotely control a system with some sort of motion control, which, like, that's everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of concerning because the courts are saying that they put a camera and a motion sensor in one thing, which they're saying primarily is the Wii U control pad. And the courts were saying that Nintendo did it knowing that they were breaking those patents. And it's like, well, not really, because the 3DS was doing that. So I think the primary concern right now is what does this really mean for Nintendo as they go and they try to appeal this ruling? Because best case scenario, they pay Philips for every console sold. Worst case scenario is they can't sell it in the UK. So this one is kind of one to watch. There's certainly not anything that's going to happen immediately. It's not going to be like, oh my god, go get a Wii U if you live in the UK because they're gone forever. But you know, that's a possibility if Philips gets its way.
Yeah.
So really weird. I hope that the 2 of them can come to some sort of agreement and they don't have to shut down sales of anything Nintendo in the UK.
Yeah.
So weird. Last news story here. Speaking of shutting down, remember the shutdown of Games for Windows Live on PC?
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore.
It's too funny.
Microsoft, in a statement to Game Informer, said, quote, "We are continuing to support the Games for Live Windows service, and we remain committed to investing in PC gaming in the years ahead and look forward to sharing more in the future," end quote, comma, duh.
Maybe I'll be able to sign into Unreal Tournament 3 now.
It's, the only thing that I can assume is that this is the new face of the Xbox division, with Phil Spencer being the head of it and really focusing on games and just saying, like, well, maybe we won't. Excuse me.
You're so good looking.
Oh yeah. I feel like that might be the indication of them saying, like, look, we're not necessarily going to be expanding the network, but maybe you should be able to play the old games that you have. Maybe we'll just run an old Dell 486 server in the corner that lets you log into the infrastructure you're already logging into on the 360 and the Xbox One. So then maybe you can keep playing your games. That would be okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Microsoft, you're weird. Stop being weird. All right, let's move on to tweets.
Tweets.
The other Jay-Z writes and says, so Street Fighter 4 was free for gold on Live, and after playing it, I've concluded it's unplayable without a $70 fighting game controller. I'm not that hardcore on fighting games, so I won't be picking up anything I can't play with a gamepad. What are your thoughts? Is Capcom smart in trying to focus on esports, or do the Mortal Kombat Injustice folks have the right idea in limiting the inputs to 4? I kind of minorly respectfully disagree that it's not playable on a gamepad. I think unfortunately it's not the optimal way to play it because it has so many buttons and you have to use the shoulder whatevers. I think if you want to be competitive, whatever that means for Street Fighter 4, I think you have to buy some crazy Mad Catz 50-pound whatever Steel Battalion thing. But I feel like casually it's playable enough kind of by itself. Go ahead, Knobs.
Oh, I don't mind the 4-button playing a game 4 buttons. I just don't understand how we don't have a regular 6-button controller with our controllers right now. Because
Yeah.
I mean, they figured that out in the '90s.
Well, I think
That was a viable solution.
I think the primary problem is the um, the wireless technology that both manufacturers are using, and they're not really willing to license that technology out. So otherwise, we'd have Mad Catz would make a really great 6-button fighting game controller. Yay!
I'm sure they would.
And it would just wouldn't have the shoulder buttons or something.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, all of that stuff has to be USB. So for a lot of people, that's not gonna work. And I personally haven't seen any third-party controllers for PS4 or Xbox One yet. I'm sure the market isn't really there yet, so they'll probably wait. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really interesting question that he asked. Is Capcom smart in trying to focus on esports? I think the interesting thing is watching companies try and figure out what that means. Like, what does it mean to support esports? Do we put native Twitch streaming in our game, or do we do voting for Twitch streaming, or do we support every controller under the sun, or do we, build in you can make tournament rules or something? I think there's been something really interesting there with companies trying to figure out, like, yay, we support esports, yay, and sort of like, well, I don't. Just let us.
What's the definition of esports?
Yeah, just like let us stream your game and let us. Don't stop us from,
believing.
Like, yeah, don't stop us from playing your game, Nintendo.
Don't stifle my creativity, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's really interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen there.
I think it's going to take one company to take a leap and say this is the definitive terminate setup.
Yeah.
Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Yep. Naked Pear writes in and says, "Hey gents, how'd you feel about the game aspect of the Steam sale this season? The GOG freebies won me over. I never really care about Steam gamification, because each day a team, 30 people from one team won 3 games on their wish list. There's like 50 million people on Steam. The chances of me winning anything is so slim, and the sales this year wasn't really even that interested in. So I kind of didn't care.
Yeah, I bought a few things, and not as many as I have in past sales.
I bought a bunch of DLC. That was mostly it.
Yeah, I bought like a bunch of really cheap games, but I actually really love the Steam gamification, and not for like the fact that it's a game and it's fun and all that stuff. No. I mean, it's because it's free money for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about Steam badges. I think the only one I've crafted is Brutal Legend, because I was like, yeah, why not? I got the cards.
Yeah.
And other than that, every time I got a card from the summer sale, I sold it. And it paid for probably 3 or 4 of my games.
Yeah, that's really the ticket, is kind of, if you don't care about badges, just sell your cards. Even if you make 10 cents, I mean,
it's still
you
whatever.
can max out. Usually most games you can max out 4 or 5 cards, so you make it at the minimum 50 cents. So
yeah.
The other JZ writes in again and says, "Is there any chance the winners for the teams in this year's Steam Summer Sale were anything but predetermined?" There's a lot of people out there talking a lot of stuff about like how Valve exploited it and all this stuff. They figured it out early. I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't.
That's a lot of dimp.
To me, it's fun. To me, it's fun because of all the stuff they put around the sale. Like they had that cool map for the Steam summer camp, and they had all the cool art for the teams, and you and your friends got thrown on separate teams. Like all that stuff around it was kind of fun in like this 80s campy movie way.
Yeah.
But I never really take that stuff seriously.
It's all fluff, and none of it matters. And if they were doing that, who cares? It's like you're a percent of a percent of a percent that might possibly win 3 games on your wish list.
Yeah, if it was an entire team won 3 games on your wish list, and there was some sort of predetermined thing, I probably would have been upset.
Yeah.
But it's 30 people. Like, it's just, I would rather spend the energy instead of being mad about it, I'd rather spend that energy going to GOG and buying some games or buying games on Steam. Like I don't know. It doesn't really affect me much.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to emails here.
Email.
Hey.
The other Jay-Z writes in, and he wrote this about 2 weeks ago, and I sent this over to the other two gentlemen on the show here. Aisha Tyler posted something on Facebook about how she felt about sort of diversity in gaming. And she posted this really not really lengthy post, but really interesting, kind of giving a couple of examples about what she feels are positive female characters in the industry. She lists The Last of Us, which I won't spoil because that's a DLC spoiler. The great Gears of War 3 character, that lady that I really liked. Bioshock Infinite, where there's a bunch of great female characters. Like 3 of the Assassin's Creed games. Tomb Raider, especially the new Tomb Raider. Lara Croft is really great. And I think she brings up a great point where she's saying, a lot of these games are really great, and a huge game that was kind of game of the year of 2012, which is The Walking Dead, had a black main character and an Asian female other main character.
Yeah.
Which for a lot of games is kind of radical.
Unheard of.
Yeah, and for it to be so kind of universally celebrated, it is something to be happy about. So Jay-Z writes in this email, he says, speaking as a hetero white guy, it's nice to see an article that is A, in support of diversity in games and champions the progress it's made so far, without feeling like a Jezebel article that's just out to attack dudes, and B, stands as a call to action to continue supporting developers and publishers who choose to put characters in a prominent role who aren't basically just Nathan Drake, Marcus Phoenix, or Duke Nukem. I'm wondering what you guys think about her post. I can tell you when I read her article, it actually took me a second to realize she was referencing when she brought up the VGA's 2012 Game of the Year, had a strong black lead. I'd laugh at myself when I put it together and realized I had actually forgotten the character lead was black. As I continued through the article, I came to the conclusion that when a minority/woman/homosexual/etc. character is well done, it's usually because they don't make it the character's defining characteristic. Exactly. Hell, I think Season 1 of The Walking Dead only discussed Lee's ethnicity once, and if I remember correctly, I think you only had it come up if you picked a certain response to a situation. Lara Croft in the most recent Tomb Raider wasn't a woman. She was a student and woman was all in caps. She was a student who happened to be a young woman, and they mostly focused on her situation and reacting to it, instead of the fact that she was, let's be honest, a smoking hot young brunette, and I think that's a large part of why the game was so well received. Yeah. As a quick aside, that's why my fiance played it, because it wasn't this old Tomb Raider with these giant things and she's just shooting guns the whole time. Mm-hmm. Do you guys feel like we're making progress when it comes to including non-white dude characters in stories for more than a throwaway role, and also not making that their token status focal point when they do show up? As always, thanks for the cast, and I look forward to the hate tweets I'll inevitably receive for being a homophobe, misogynist, or racist. Hopefully you don't.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing to me is that we're getting more diversity in games because we're getting more diversity in the people that are making games. And it's not only indie games where so many different types of people are making games, and there's some amazing diverse stuff coming out, but there's plenty of new people and types of people and whatever making these larger kind of AAA and even medium-sized games. So we're seeing a lot of different stuff coming from a lot of different people, and I think that's what's really helping the medium is the barrier to entry, for whatever reason, because I don't know what that would be, is lowering, so more people are getting the opportunity to make the games that they want to make, whatever those games may be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We are getting more. I still don't think it's anywhere near enough.
Oh, it's certainly not enough.
Yeah. if you look at, and speaking as a, the target demographic, white male,
Yeah.
that's
White
all I
30-something
play
year old
as.
male.
And from my perspective, it's like, I'm not necessarily thinking about diversity first things. It's not always the first thing on my mind, I'll admit. But half the time, I'm just like, oh, it's another white dude.
Yeah.
Why am I playing? Why am I? I don't want to. I play games to experience different perspectives.
Yeah.
I don't play games to, experience a perspective that I can already kind of get.
Well, and I mean, that was what I was so disappointed of Watch Dogs. Like, I play a gravelly voiced white dude in his 30s living in Chicago who happens to be a super hacker. And it's like, okay, well,
I don't want to play my life. I mean, come on.
yeah, come on, guys. At some point, it feels very Bobby Sue. But also,
Yeah.
like, to me, I'm in the same boat as the Hannah is. To me, I like experiencing all of that other stuff. And also, it's a little bit of escapism. So,
Yeah.
to see this 30-year-old gravelly voiced white dude, I've been playing that dude in games since Gears of War 1 was huge. And actually, before that. But it seemed...
Come on.
Yeah, it seems like Last Generation was filled with the same dude over and over again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, especially the longer this medium exists, the less and less that whitewash is going to disappear.
yeah,
I mean, you pretty much see that in television now. There's a lot of shows that have different ethnicity leads and different perspectives. And I tell you what, I mean, even look at even like the History channels, and now they're redoing like the decades, and they're not painting a very pretty picture of the '60s anymore.
yeah,
No, not.
But it's gonna happen. Like we've taken steps the right way, but you can always do more.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, and I think we're finally, over the last couple of years, I feel like there's really been this groundswell of ensuring diversity in games and ensuring diversity in the people who make games. It's not just people that are making games are 30-year-old white dudes.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
It's everybody now, and that's so valuable to see the experiences and stories that people are coming out with, and from a gameplay standpoint, different gameplay, because we've been stuck in a lot of games have been stuck in a lot of ruts for a long time, and now it's people are coming out with some crazy stuff. Sure, we still have our Shovel Knights, which is great,
Right.
but we're coming out with a lot of great stuff. So I don't know. I mean, we have a long way to go, to be fair, but at least we're on the right path, I feel.
Well, it's
I
to the
think so.
Yeah.
I think it's to the point where that if there's a different ethnicity or point of view that's the main lead of the game, it's not like that's going to hinder sales. We're past that point.
Yeah,
If it's a
yeah.
good game, we will buy it. I mean, bottom line.
But is that necessarily true throughout the entire country? I mean,
Probably not,
to
but-
pull an example, why wasn't Assassin's Creed Liberation a mainline Assassin's Creed game? That was
Sure.
put on the Vita.
Sure, I
and
mean,
that,
I
I may be painting a picture that isn't there.
Well, let's
But-
be honest from the business standpoint. The top 1 to 5% of games are going to be the games that need to hit the most amount of people at the moment because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
That's why Watch Dogs was how it is. That's why Call of Duty and Battlefield are the way they are, because Watch Dogs, the credit sequence for Watch Dogs was 25 minutes. Because they have hundreds of people working on this game. So when you're someone like Ubisoft and you're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars over a period of 10 years to make hopefully 3 or 4 games in a franchise, I feel like at some point you have to hit the largest market, whatever that is. And I think for the moment, that unfortunately leaves you with a white male 30-year-old main character. And I think that's getting better, but I think when it's truly the best, we come out with a Call of Duty game that has a female main character.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. I know
does.
for how Call of Duty is, but hopefully we'll get there, and hopefully we'll get there at some point. But right now, unfortunately, the business standpoint of it says no.
Well, I don't think that sounds crazy at all. I think the problem is when you're making games to service a small minority just for the sake to say you did it.
Yeah.
When you're not trying to serve a broader audience, your messages fail.
Yeah.
Like, you just need to make the games for everybody, and if
just
the
make a good game.
If the mustard's good, people will play them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I think the more the issue gets brought up, the more convoluted the argument becomes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, like, just more diversity can only mean, it can only be better.
Yeah.
Totally.
So thank you, Jay-Z, for a good email. We often don't talk about that too terribly much, unfortunately.
Well, because look at us.
Yeah, we're 330-old white dudes, so it can be a little tough.
We're the problem.
Oh, no, why? Shut the show down. All right, our last email here this week is from Paul K., who says, currently living in Seattle. Hello, TVGPers.
Hey.
I'm sorry to say, but I stopped listening to you a while back due to my schedule getting crazy for all of my podcasts. Well, I'm not going to read your email now. No. Good news is I started listening to you again, starting with the E3 cast, but the show seems to have changed a lot. I don't have time to listen through all the missed episodes, so I'm wondering if you could talk through a little recap. So I'll probably answer most of these, and I'll turn it over to you guys for your respective things. I believe I stopped listening around when Boston was moving to California. Yes, that was as of last month, about 2 years ago. Are you still living out there? Yes. My fiance and I just moved to a brand new house. And now we have a mortgage, so I can't afford games anymore. When did the Hannah join the show? I remember him from the forums, and I think he's a great addition, but was curious how he ended up as a host. I think it's been about a year.
It's been like a year and a half. Was my first episode January 2013 or like late December 2012?
Something like that?
Yeah. It had to be more than a year because I haven't always been casting from this room.
Right, that's true.
I moved in over a year ago.
Yeah, so it's probably been about a year and a half. So Hannah I pulled him up from the AAA league and just gave him a shot at the big time. We just really needed a third chair. Both shows needed a third chair, so I brought Mina on for Pup, and I brought the Hannah on for here.
Yeah, and really how it came about was, I had been really active in the forums, and Boston emailed me, like, literally out of the blue. I had no idea. And it, for all you know, I could have sounded ridiculous and wouldn't have a voice for podcasting.
Yeah.
And it just sort of evolved and sort of happened.
Yep. So keep active in the forums.
Yeah. And make good predictions. Be the most correctest.
There you go.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Ryan?
That's a good question.
Ryan, how can I say this PC? I'll be honest, because I won't be blunt. I asked Ryan to leave the show because he was not as steady as I would have as I really require someone that's going to be on the show. It can be kind of hard to work for me sometimes because if you're going to be on the show, you need to be every week or at least the majority of the episodes. So he wasn't able to make the show a priority, so he's not on the show anymore. I liked him, and I thought he was really great on the show, and I was really sad that he wasn't part of it. And it's still kind of a bummer, but he's a good guy. So, and what about Brad? Brad was my favorite back when I started listening, but I don't remember there being an explanation for his disappearance from the show. I think we talked about it very, very, very briefly right when he left the show. But when he was still on the show full time, we were still back in Ohio. We were recording it still in my living room in my apartment. And he was still in college, and he was in his junior year, I believe. So he left the show to focus more on finishing up his school and kind of getting a job and kind of getting settled down. And about a year ago or so, before I brought the Hannah on, I reached back out to him to ask him if he wanted to join the show, and unfortunately our schedules just kind of couldn't match up at the time. So
Yeah.
he's just he's busy. All of us are kind of busy, and
Hey, Bradder's gonna Brad.
yeah, the three of us can kind of carve a little bit of time out of our Sunday to do this. But for a lot of people, it's tough to carve out almost 3 hours to do this show. So that's probably enough questions for now. But if you got the time, why not do a brief history of the show and how you got to now? Thanks for still being there, even though I wasn't. So for a brief history of the show, go back to listen to episode 300, I believe. Brad and I sat down and we talked about how the show started. Listen to the very first 3 episodes that got recorded. It's the very first time nearly anybody has listened to episode 0. The very, very, very first thing we recorded. It sounds like hot garbage.
I think I still have it on a disc somewhere.
Probably.
Nice.
But we recorded it on
CDs.
an old laptop that had a fan problem, so as we kept recording, the fan got louder and louder. But the germ of the show was solid at that point. And how we got to here is we've never missed a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
this
is
is our 349th straight episode.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I think that's why I became such a big fan of the show, was because of the consistency and quality.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah, there it is, right in my feed.
Yep. Every Monday morning.
And varying content.
Yeah. Hey, they can't all be winners, but hey, at least they're there.
Yeah.
Gotta go for like 60-40.
We put a product on the shelf.
Yeah. So if you're interested, go look. There's a episode 300 special I did with Brad, and we talked a little bit about that. And I talk a little bit about how the show started, the rules for the show, and kind of what I wanted to accomplish. And then we kind of traded some stories about myself, Brad, and Ryan kind of scraping the show together and trying a bunch of stuff. And I think we talk about the very beginning of why I wanted to start doing a podcast to begin with. So, I think it's called Episode 300 Special, something like that. It's back there in the archives. If you search for Episode 300, it'll come up. But thank you very much for everyone for writing in. That's our episode this week. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. Email us tvgpfans@gmail.com. Tweet us at tvgp. And everything else is on the right-hand side of the page.
And don't forget to join the forums. Please mark yourselves on the map. Come join us for Monday Night Game Night. That is 10 p.m. EST on the Xbox One for Battlefield Shenanigans.
Yep.
Steam Game Nights. Join the Steam group on Steam. and Game Club this week is...
Brutal Legend. We are going until the, I want to say, for the 14th of, if you want to play up until the 16th, because the 17th of July is the recap episode, and we will be recording it live on this channel.
Nice. Yep, twitch.tv/E1M1 Network. You can catch that on the 17th. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, you can watch all of our live streams at that same URL, including our archives. I export all that stuff to YouTube as well. So just search for TVGP on YouTube, and you'll probably find the channel, hopefully. Dimebag315 says, "Oh, and where can I get a TVGP shirt?" I wish I had a better answer for you, dude. The answer is I don't have enough time to put that stuff together. I would love to, but I have a lot of grand ideas for the show that stop happening because I have a pretty intense job. So
yeah.
Sorry. I'd love to take your money, but I can't. I think that's it. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you all next week.
Laters.
Peace.
All right, I have 2 titles.
All right, what do you got?
The 1,000-Point Headshot.
Yep.
And Space Rocks.
Yes.
Space Rocks.
But I feel like we might have done Space Rocks already, or something.
We did
pretty
something
close.
similar. Yeah. I actually searched for that one because I was like, I feel like we did that one.
Yeah.
So I got a few, but I think Jay-Z actually had more than me this week.
Yeah, he was popping
He
a
was
bunch off.
so I'm gonna go through his
Okay.
modifying your grinds. I think he had space rocks as well. People could sleep and stuff. Food is in quotes. Punching the fire. Cheaper than a hamburger. If the mustard's good. Everybody, please stop doing that. Trying to act like a car in traffic. I think that's it.
You know what title I actually like is just
What's that?
food in quotes.
Food, and we didn't talk about food once this week.
That's true.
Yeah, we will have to consider that.
Except for mustard.
All right, so here's the ones I got. Here's the ones I wrote down for me. 8-bit sprite guys, wobbly stick of tofu, 1,000 point headshot, maze of death, Trictionary. Everybody, please. Oh, I think that was another one of his. EX Alpha Plus, Origins of Sin, Take the Ladders Out. Okay, that still works. Sims 4 Pool Party.
You know that's what it's going to be called.
You know that's what's going to be called. We put a product on the shelf, and I'd love to take your money.
I still really like food in quotes. Just the one
Yeah.
word in quotes.
Yeah,
Food.
I think that needs to. Yeah, that needs to happen.
All right, I'm going to circle that one. Easily our
Oh,
shortest
someone's. Oh my god! So you gotta do food. I'm gonna say Fire Singers. You're gonna go Battlestar Galactica.
There we
No, I got one. No,
figured
I'm
it
not
out.
doing Battlestar Galactica. I got a better one.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 349 for June 30th, 2014. Food.
Fire extinguishers.
Oh, this tastes like space rocks.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching the live stream. As soon as I get the files that these gents upload, I'm going to be streaming more Final Fantasy V. So twitch.tv/Boston Hannon, at Janston, Jansten on Twitter. I always post there once I'm going live, and that's where all my YouTube videos post to. So if you don't catch it live, that's where it is. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Later.